What's the most money you've ever made in a single day? Not by building a company, not by inventing a product, by betting against an entire country. This is the story of George Soros, the investor known as the man who broke the Bank of England. And that's not just a dramatic nickname. He forced one of the most powerful central banks in the world to surrender. To understand how it happened, go back to 1992. Keep European currencies trading within a narrow range, so exchange rates stayed stable. On paper, that sounded smart. In reality, it was a trap. Because Britain's economy was weak, inflation had been high, growth was slowing down, unemployment was rising, the country needed relief. The British pound was too high, too expensive, too disconnected from economic reality. The government kept defending it anyway, and George Soros saw the weakness immediately. He ran the Quantum Fund, one of the most aggressive and successful hedge funds in the world, and started fighting it. And in 1992, Britain was doing exactly that. A government spending billions trying to hold up a price that didn't make sense, and sooner or later, it would break. So, he made his move. Soros began building a massive short position against the British pound. In simple terms, he was betting that the pound would fall, sold them at the current price, and he didn't go small. He reportedly built a position worth around $10 billion. Think about that. This wasn't a cautious trade. It wasn't a hedge. It was a full-scale attack. He was betting against the British government, against the Bank of England, against the entire illusion holding the pound together. And he wasn't the only one. But Soros went bigger than almost anyone else. He had the conviction, and he had the nerve. Then came the day everything broke. By that morning, pressure on the pound was already intense. Traders were selling, confidence was evaporating, and the Bank of England was stepping into the market, buying pounds as fast as it could. This is how a central bank defends a currency. It uses its reserves to buy its own money, hoping demand will rise and the price will hold. There's a hard truth in finance. A central bank can fight the market for a while. It cannot fight reality forever. And on Black Wednesday, reality was winning. So, the British government fired back. First, they raised interest rates to 12%. The idea was simple. Higher interest rates make a currency more attractive. The government could make announcements, it could make promises. It could burn through cash, but it couldn't change the fundamentals. So, the selling continued. Then came the next move. And this one was pure desperation. That wasn't confidence. That was panic. That was the financial equivalent of a government screaming, "Please stop selling." Because desperation confirms weakness, and once traders smelled that weakness, they pushed even harder. By now, Britain was cornered. The government was burning through foreign reserves. Interest rates were exploding. And still, the pound kept falling. The defense was failing in real time. By the end of the day, the fight was over. The United Kingdom withdrew from the E.R.M. that was the surrender. The moment Britain stopped defending the pound, the currency dropped hard, exactly as Soros had predicted. And that's when his trade paid off, almost instantly. The profit was estimated at around $1 billion in less than 24 hours. One man, one trade, one day, $1 billion. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. How does one investor beat a central bank? The answer is simple. He doesn't win because he's stronger. He wins because the central bank is defending something that cannot be defended. Soros didn't break the pound by himself. The pound was already broken. He just saw it earlier than everyone else and bet big when it mattered. That's why this story still matters, because it reveals something most people don't want to admit. Governments are not all powerful. Central banks are not invincible. And when policy collides with economic reality, reality wins. Every time. Of course, Soros became a deeply controversial figure. Some saw him as a financial genius, a man who understood the system better than the people running it. Others saw him as a predator, a billionaire who profited from national humiliation and economic pain. And honestly, both arguments exist for a reason. Because this wasn't heroic. It was ruthless, cold, calculated. But markets don't care about heroism. Markets care about truth. And on Black Wednesday, the truth was brutal. Britain had been defending an illusion. Soros simply called the bluff. There's also an irony here. In the long run, leaving the E.R.M. may have actually helped the British economy recover. Once Britain was free to cut rates and let the pound fall, conditions improved. So the move that looked like a disaster in the moment may have been necessary all along. Which raises the real question, was George Soros a villain? Or was he the only man in the room willing to act on what was obviously true? Because the legend of George Soros isn't just about making $1 billion. It's about recognizing when a system is built on denial. When a government is defending a price instead of facing reality. When the math is broken, but the people in charge keep pretending it still works. George Soros didn't rob a vault, he didn't hack a bank, he didn't steal anything. He read the situation correctly, and then he made one of the boldest trades in financial history. And the wildest part, he was right. So what do you think? Was George Soros a financial mastermind, or a market villain who profited from chaos? Drop your take in the comments. And subscribe for more stories where money, power, and strategy collide.